our next guest has been a master teacher of that lesson, a sensation on the internet, a sensation in podcasting, a sensation on television, but mostly a sensation in real life. We're so honored, Jay Shetty, to have you joining the Call to Unite. You've been teaching from the Himalayas to Europe to the United States. You've been teaching people of all ages some of the most profound lessons, and we're just eager to hear from you now. You've heard so much from people here. We've heard from the Sufis and the Weavers. We've heard about the heart as an organ of sensation. But give us your best sense of, as we hit our day. The philosophy's great, but most of us have to put one foot in front of the other. And you've been so helpful to so many people. What's your strategy that you find to be most helpful to people right now as they try to start the new?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tim. And I'm so grateful to Call to Unite for having me here today. And Tim, you and I were speaking a little earlier, and you said something really powerful in it. It actually really hit me, and it was profound and stuck with me. And you were talking about how we focus right now on a lot of self-improvement instead of us improvement. And I was thinking about that statement that you shared with me, and I was thinking, yeah, it's so true. It's always about me instead of we, as we know. And so what I want to share today in the next 9 minutes is 3 messages that are really about us and we and uniting and the things we can do together to actually create the opportunities that we need right now. So if you've been hearing a lot of self-improvement in your own life and from other sources, then give this as an opportunity to make some notes and take some ideas as to how you, your family, your loved ones, and the world can actually come together. So I'm going to share 3 messages in the next 9 minutes for you and your family, and then for the world. And so for you, let's start with you, because it does start with you. It just doesn't end with you. And when we think about our days, it can be quite hard to plan them out. And we're all feeling that uncertainty. And so we need some certainty in our days. And to me, that really comes from having a powerful routine. Now, these routines also can be routines that you do with others. So the first step in this routine is the word thankfulness. Now, we hear a lot about gratitude, and we're often told to keep a gratitude journal and feel grateful. And those are all great things. But what's really powerful is sharing gratitude, which means picking up the phone and calling someone, which means sending a message to someone. It means writing a long letter and reading it out to them, or sending a video or a voice note. When we express gratitude, it has even more impact than when we just feel it. Now, one of my favorite ways of doing this right now is go into your iPhone library and look at the 33,798 messages that you have, pictures that you have of your family and your friends and all your memories, and create albums and galleries for the people you love and send it to them. Imagine getting a full gallery of 35 pictures of you and a loved one and your friends and family and the experiences you've had. That's going to make someone feel loved right now. The second element to a routine is the letter I. It's inspiration. So it's like finding that inspiration every day, whether it's looking at a quote that you love or reading a paragraph of a book. And again, push yourself to share that with someone. Number 3 is M, meditation. So we've talked a lot about meditation in these sessions. There's been some beautifully guided meditations I saw earlier, and we all know the power of that. And it's nice to do it together and as a family if we can. And finally, E, exercise. There needs to be some movement in our lives. So it's really important. So that's all for you, and that's the acronym TIME: thankfulness, inspiration, meditation, exercise. If you get that, you're going to have your mind in the right space. Now, I also want to talk to you about what you can do for you and your friends and family. Now, some of you may be living alone. Some of you may be surrounded by people. And it's funny how both of them come with challenges. See, it's hard to live with people, but it's a lot harder to live without them as well. And when you recognize the gratitude of both those situations, we start with realizing what we're looking for is not shared space, but shared experiences. You know, I've had a lot of friends recently do virtual workouts with me, virtual game nights, virtual book clubs. It's so great to set up something recurring. You know, social distancing doesn't have to stop you from having a social life. And so you can continue to have a lively social life with your friends, but virtually. And that's allowing you, again, to find that connection at this time. Now, one of the things I want to share about connection is that we have to make sure that we don't stop celebrating. A lot of people have had their proms pushed back, weddings postponed, anniversaries missed, birthdays, vacations changed and delayed. And it's still so important that we stop, that we pause at that time, at that day when we were about to have that very special moment in our lives, and we still celebrate. I just saw this brilliant picture the other day of a couple that was meant to be getting married right now. And they had this picture of them in the church, and they had pictures of all of their family members printed out all over the seats in the church. It was beautiful to see. So don't stop celebrating. Don't stop yourself from making that mistake and realizing that you can still have an incredible birthday. You can still have an incredible anniversary. You can still have an incredible moment, because remember, the moment was about the people and it was about connection. It was never about the place. So that's a really important message that I want you to embody. And the third part of your friends and family is recognizing that there's never a need to judge or belittle anyone's loss or pain. So if someone has lost something and you're thinking, well, there are people that are losing a lot more, don't make that person feel bad about it, because for them, it was a big thing, even if it was small for you. And the third and final message, which I have for you and the world: how do you connect with the world and unite with the world and bring that all out together? I find this really helps me. And this comes to those of us who may have lost people, but maybe less affected on a daily basis by this. What I find is that whenever I'm feeling unsettled, I find that the only certainty in uncertainty is service. Right? And I really mean that. The only certainty in uncertainty is finding your role through service. Now, often we think of service as being this big thing, like we have to raise $1 million, or we have to inspire 1 million people, or we have to do something that's going to impact every hospital in the world. And the truth is, this is the real truth of service. One phone call, one message. Maybe it's teaching a healthcare professional's children math virtually. Maybe it's making sure that food is delivered to their door, making sure that you're calling that person to ask them about that day. That simple step, that simple moment is service. So don't over-amplify and overwhelm yourself with that word and thinking that it has to be something huge and outside of yourself. And here's for the other side. I think what we forget is that when we're going through change, we need a few important things. We need coaching, and that's what you're getting through this beautiful arrangement by Call to Unite. You have so many incredible guides and teachers here. The second thing we need is consistency. We need our own routines and habits, as I mentioned earlier. And the third thing we need community, all of which we're getting right now. But if you think about that list of 3 things, you've got coaching, you've got consistency, and you've got community. 2 out of the 3 things there require other people. And I think what this pandemic is making us realize is that we are not very good at asking for help. And I'd like you to realize this, that this is our chance to ask for help. This is our moment to recognize that it is not a weakness to ask for help. We don't need to struggle to do it all ourselves. So I hope that these messages for you and your family and for the world have been helpful and practical. I hope that you try and apply them and practice them tomorrow. And I'm sending all my love, prayers, and best wishes to each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Jay, don't go. I want to tell you that while you're speaking, my daughter says to me, this I can write down. This I can put on my refrigerator. Caroline's saying it. She's getting out her note card. So that was so helpful and so practical and so concrete. And you know, in that concreteness, I think becomes the beginnings of behavior change, right? We can think differently, but it's hard to put one foot in front of the other. I just want to ask you to say one more message about this point you made about not belittling people.
Yes.
I think it's so important because I think we tend, at least I grew up, and you know, if I didn't feel well, I got the message, well, there's other people worse off than you. And you know, after all, look at the crisis here. You know, you all you did was miss your graduation. Be quiet. You know, how do we feel differently? I mean, you can say don't say that, but sometimes it feels almost impulsive to belittle each other.
Yeah, that's a great question, Tim. Thank you for bringing that up. And I think it's so common to feel judgmental and guilty, make others feel guilty
Hmm.
And that actually comes from a personal sense of judgment and guilt. We don't allow ourselves to feel the pain we feel. And so we don't want to allow others to feel the pain they feel.
Hmm.
And so I think the first step of that is just saying, hey, let me grieve for my loss. Let me mourn for my loss, whatever that may have been. Let me really feel that feeling. Let me allow myself to experience that. And when you do that, you'll realize that that person missing their graduation, for them, it was the same as someone else missing whatever it was for them. And pain is something that we think is big and small. But hey, we all know this. When we were in college or school or whatever it was, remember the things that we used to think were the biggest things. Now we look back and we probably laugh and think that they're insignificant. But we have to start putting ourselves in people's shoes and going back to that moment in our own lives. I think we have to try that and just recognize, let people heal at their own pace in their own time.
Jay, thank you so much. And again, thank you for all of your work, not just for this obvious expression, but for so much care and compassion you bring to so many people. I know you join me in thanking again the people who have made this possible. You know, I think of Peter and Jennifer Buffett when you talk about this unselfishness and this willingness to not judge. They've been such generous supporters of this and so many other movements. They are sponsors like L'Oreal, who just came in, just said to us a few days ago, this is beautiful. We don't know exactly all the things that are going to happen, but them, the Rockefeller, the Radical Relief Fund, people just respond when the best is asked of them. And that's what you've done. And so thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. And thank you to everyone.